Going on, Falcon fans? This your boy Ricundo come back at you with another video. I haven't been on the screen in a live stream in a while, but today I felt like I wanted to come on and talk to you guys about the Falcons first joint practice that they was having, and then I want to talk about the the projection of the 53-man roster that I had a while back before the actually training camp started. Now that we've been in about 3 weeks, we have seen the preseason game. We've been I personally been to about 4 practices, um, and from what I can see, determine what they actually gonna who they actually gonna put on the team. So that's what I want to talk to you guys today about. So, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Um, please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So, like I said, we're going to get into practice today. It was the first joint practice for the Atlanta Falcons this off season against the New York Jets. Of course, you know we play the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, who actually plays in that game. If they decide to play their starters series like they did last time, decide to play them longer. It depends. I'm pretty sure the two coaches going to talk about that to see how these guys going to actually go. But today, of course, you know the first thing that everybody want to talk about. Um, it was reported by D'Orlando Ledbetter talk about the fights that was taking place in practice, especially with the line of scrimmage. It was more the line of scrimmage, of course, the fights broke out. That's usually where they're going to happen anyway. Those guys and going, you know, doing one-on-ones and actually going at it, and temperatures going to flare, especially if you're getting beat, right? From an offensive point or a defensive standpoint. So that was the first thing. And I like that as a team because I like that physicality. I like their aggression. I like the fact that they want to actually mix it up with a different opponent. Because you want to lose, so that's the competitive side that coming out on you, and the physicality you don't want to get punked either. So, what's going on, Wallace? So that's one of the things that that I did like about practice day, the physicality that they shown. Um, but according to reports, let's get into the reports because that's pretty much what we're going to be based off today. The reports and the reports that the offense side of the ball did better than the defensive side of the ball. Um, so we really we really don't know what to make of that. Um, According to the Jets, I actually went to the Jets reporters just to see their side, what they was thinking about it. And according to them, Joe Flacco dominated the practice. So, like I said, it's practice. You really don't know what to make of that. Of course, you've seen the splash plays with, of course, Brees Hall breaking a long run, but it was no tackling. You don't know if he would actually, they would have picked the hole and made the tackle or not. But he did show his athleticism, his speed. He did break a long run. Of course, they showed Elijah Moore catching a couple of deep passes from Joe Flacco. So yeah, I don't know what to make from all that. But at the same time, there's those reports. Joe Flacco did good. One thing we can say, the Falcons have been going up against a 3-4 defense all off season. The Jets have a different scheme. They got 4-3, so different looks. That's a good thing for our offense to see. And then, of course, it's a good thing for our defense to see another scheme as well. So, hopefully, if that was the case and they didn't play well, um, hopefully they come out and play better, to tomorrow. But it's just practice. Like I said, the one thing about practice, especially when you're not tackling, it's all relative because you can say a guy completed a pass, but he could have been sacked already, right? A guy doing a long run, but technically he could have been tackled in the backfield. They just let him go, and then it looked like it was a long run. So it's no tackling. The guys are physical. They're getting at it, but still not totally going 100% on a lot of plays, and that's both ways. So if our offense made plays, um, it's really you have to just wait to see to the preseason game. That's why these preseason games are so important, especially these guys that's trying to make teams to see what they're actually able to do. However, the scripted plays that they do get in preseason, I mean, in these joint practices is important as well because especially when you're talking about offensive linemen, blocking that's physical. That has nothing to do with tackling and anything like that. So the linemen going on linemen, you can actually get a lot um, of information from those when they go back and look at film to see what these guys be able to do. So of course, they did 7 on 7. Um, I know everybody seen the play with Jared Barnhart beat Sauce Gardner on the pass from Desmond Ritter. Like I said, um, it's going to go back and forth. Things like that's going to happen. That's good though because Barnhart definitely been shining in practice, been shining. Of course, he shined in the preseason game. So hey, we just have to see how this going to turn out. Yep, I agree. You can't read much if they're not going to tackle, especially not if you can't hit the quarterback. You're right. The quarterback's back there because quarterback I already know. Um, I see this pass rush coming, but they can't hit me, so I'm just gonna take my time and, and throw this pass. All right. So like I said, you can't read a whole lot from it, especially when they do the team drills. Like I said, 101s are more of what they can they can get because the 101s are more of a true you going mono a mono 101 and just seeing. But when you get in the team drills, like they're not aligned to tackle, they can't hit the quarterback and things like that. I mean, Joe Flacco is a statue. He's never been considered athletic or anything like that. So um, they can get to him. And it was reported that Grady Jarrett um, got a couple of sacks on the day, so he stood out today for the defense, even though they said Joe Flacco dominated. So we just like I said, we just have to see. Hopefully, those guys play at least a series in that first preseason game to see um, what this defense looks like against another team. Um, Personally, for me, that first series we played against the Lions, I was not pleased. I know that it was communication things, a couple of breakdowns, but the Lions just marched right down the field on us. Of course, you can't lose on the first series of a game. However, you know, we talked about setting the tone coming out from a defensive standpoint. I just didn't like it. So I hope for these guys show up in the next preseason game if they play. Like I said, we don't know the game plan or who's going to play in this next game. We don't know if he decided to sit guys in the second game and then play them in the third game. So we just have to see how that's going to work out. A couple of guys that did stand out today, like I said, Grady Jarrett. They said he continued to do what he do. We can have it on those offensive linemen for the Jets. That's no surprise there. Um, we didn't hear about some of our other guys that usually has been standing out, like AJ Terrell. We didn't get a lot of reporting on how he did today. Um, we don't know how Taquan Graham did. Our linebackers. Like I said, we didn't get a lot of reports. One thing, what was happening in the practice though, and why some of our reporters got some stuff because they was playing defense on one side and offense on another side. So some of our reporters was watching the offense and some of our reporters was watching the defense. So a lot of reports, some things that probably happened, they didn't see everything. Like I said, so the coach is probably going to get a better idea how the practices went. Especially Archie Smith said he was on the offensive side, so a lot of defensive snaps he was not able to see. And right, so we just have to see how that pans out. And right, Smith, that was the other guy that I was going to talk about. The offer is actually getting first round reps with the ones at the nickel position. And honestly, for me, that's a big thing because um, he's been flashing all camp. The couple practices that I've been to, I seen he's been there. He's very competitive. He's always there, even if um the receiver makes the play, he's still there. That you like that competition. And if you go back and look at his tape at the CFL, He actually played outstanding football there as well. So I see why the Falcons had signed him to that future contract back in the early fall, because they seen the same thing, and now he's actually putting it on tape, showing what he's able to do. Um, and I think he has a chance to actually maybe get some reps with the ones, because right now I think Isaiah Oliver is definitely not ready to go yet. Yeah, I agree. I think he already earned his spot. Um, so especially with Cardinal Armstrong going down, like I said, Isaiah Oliver is not 100% ready. Of course, they had Mike Ford in there running with the ones early in camp, but it seems like he kind of been falling back a little bit. And then there was another report that they had Isaiah Oliver actually playing some safety as well. So um, I really believe that Isaiah Oliver, the way he's looking right now, he might not be ready to go week one. So they're gonna have to find somebody to put in that spot. And the way D Alford playing now, I think he might have earned that spot right now. So we just have to see. Um, I got a question for Dreddy. He said, "Let me ask you a question. Do you think AJ is the best, even though people say he doesn't travel, doesn't guard the best player on the opposing team due to him being mainly on the right side?" So I think that's just a coaching scheme. When a guy travels, I mean, they don't today in today's football. To be honest with you, most guys don't travel. Maybe the only guy may travel now. Maybe Jalen Ramsey maybe travel, but if you remember, a guy like Richard Sherman, when he played, he never traveled. He stayed on one side of the field because that's what the coach asked him to do. However, I think AJ might actually travel a little bit this year. I think he's definitely been playing in the slot, and if you look in what they're planning, they've been putting him on the best receiver. They've been putting him on Kyle Pitts. They've been putting him on Drake London. Good on good, getting those reps. And I can actually see AJ traveling a little bit this year. But it's all based on scheme. I don't think it's because the player don't want to travel. I think because what the coaches asking him to do, they just want him to play on that side. Um, I don't think he has a problem at all traveling. One thing I can say about AJ Terrell, he does not get the recognition um like the guy from Dallas, because you got to remember, nobody's scared of the guy from Dallas because he get picked on all the time. Yes, he had all the interceptions because they throw to his side of the field. They throw against him because they're not. He don't put any fear in the quarterbacks. Usually, when you're a good cornerback, quarterback scared to throw to your side of the field. And AJ Terrell, the reason he had so low numbers last year because they just would not throw to his side, and when they did, it was minimum gain and a lot of times no completion. So um, I want him to travel because it that way we can actually he can actually prove that he is one of the best cornerbacks in the game. So yeah, I agree. I think he's a top three corner too. So I mean, he just ain't had the opportunities. You know what I'm saying? And then course, we already know this. It's the Atlanta Falcons, so our players don't get the national media, you know, hits like all the other players do. So that's another reason why. I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't have been in a Pro Bowl this year. His numbers, um, he should have definitely been a Pro Bowler. So he got snubbed, but that's just the nature. But if he started to travel, um, and he's going to go up against a couple of guys, I can't wait till we play the Bengals, so he can get his get back on Chase, because that's the one um hit on him in college, right? The national championship game when he went up against Chase, and Chase, dominated him, and everybody was so upset when we picked him because of that one game. But he gets to get some get back this year, so I'm excited to see. Um, and I hope he travel with Chase too. I hope he follow him around the field when we get ready to play the Bengals. So that's gonna be exciting. But one game at a time. We got to go ahead and take care of Mike Thomas and Chris Olave first before we get to that. Another thing, guys, that I want to talk about just from today's practice was Drew Dalman. Drew Dalman, Of course, we know that center battle is still going right now. I don't know who's in the league because they keep switching them in and out um, every other day. Starting with the one, so the day it was Drew Dalman Day. But according to the reports, the O line did hold their own, so that is a good for us to know that. Of course, our offensive line has definitely been um, probably one of the most talked about position groups. You know, leading up to camp, during camp. Like I said, those I think those are most of the position battles. But right now, it looks like the center is the only battle still going on. Caleb McGarry was another guy that they talked about today, who actually was one of the catalysts, one of the fights today. Um, so that's a good thing. So, which Wally say it's all about the scheme, right? No, that's what I said. It's always going to be about the scheme when it comes to defenses. Like, I mean, if you get to like we think about when we talk about cornerbacks and Dion, like Dion Sanders, of course, I think he's was the best cornerback to ever play. But he just told him, "I got this side. You can set the scheme up to any other side." He just told the coach, "Don't worry about this side." All right. Um, Darrell Reeves was like that. If you go back and look at how Darrell Reeves played, he was like that as well. So um, sometimes that's how it is. AJ Terrell is starting to get that confidence, man. I can be honest with you. I have not seen in practice somebody complete a long ball on AJ Terrell. I mean, I see the short, short passes, but he's there to make the tackle for a minimum game. So I haven't seen him get beat in practice. I haven't. Uh, so I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't no reports today to see, if he got beat on anything. But from my standpoint, AJ Terrell is one of the best players in camp this year, and that's no surprise to us. Drady say, yeah, I think that AJ is the best in the league, hands down. But some fans, teams don't. Yeah, like I said, like we the Falcons, man. Let's just be honest. Nobody's going to get a factor split. We got to go out and earn it. I mean, you already look at what everybody say our record's going to be. They say we're going to win 2 games this year. So um, no matter how good the good players, I mean, because we have some we have some great players on this team. I mean, I mean, you just look at uh, Kyle Pitts, one of the best tight ends in the league. Grady Jarrett, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. AJ Terrell, one of the best cornerbacks in this league. I mean, we have some pretty good players on this team, but um, Casey Hayward, the guy we brought in, he's another great cornerback. If you go look at his stats from last year, he was in the top 12 of defensive backs last year. So that defensive backfield is going to be good, and I think Casey Hayward is definitely going to make AJ Terrell even better. So that's one of the things that I like about that. You're right. You're right, Radell. We got, but you know what? We got to prove it. We actually got to actually to shut everybody up, man. We got to go out and do it, right? I know everybody was hyped up by that speech Dean Pease made. That's why I want to see the defense play better, right? Um, because from just looking at the Falcons, especially like over the last um 10 years, our offense always been good, man. It's been the defense. So our defense is where we got to start making our strides. All right, that's where we got to start making our stride. If we can start making our strides on defense, um, because I think Arthur Smith is a good enough offensive play caller. Just by I mean, if you his 2 seasons in Tennessee, he was 1-2 best offense in the league both of those years. Yes, he had Derrick Henry, um, Ryan Tannehill was almost out the league. I mean, let's just be honest. When he went to Tennessee and he was able to, like I said, have the 1 and 2 2 years in a row, the first or the second best offense in the league. So and he was able to put the ball in the end zone as well. It's one of the things the Falcons had been struggling with for a while. Where we was not able to actually score touchdowns. We was able to drive the ball from 20 to 20, but kick a lot of field goals. Well, Arthur Smith, he was able to put the ball in the end zone. So, um, and I think the weapons that we have this year is definitely um, a step up from what we had last year. I mean, just our receiver core. Of course, we revamped the whole receiver core. Um, and everybody said Drake London. Um, you guys see him get hit that crossing route. It seemed like he was he had enough breakaway speed for me. That just one catch, 24 yards. So um, I can't wait. Yep, yep. First day famous. You say we got a lot of versatility. Yeah, man. Soon I'm gonna talk about the 53 man roster, and I want you guys to help me out too, because looking at the roster and looking at our skill players, it's gonna be some skilled players that we like that's not gonna make this roster. And I think it's just a numbers game. It really is. So um I get into the 53 man roster in just a minute, but I mean we do have a lot of versatile players. I love the group of wide receivers they brought in. They all versatile, they all do different things. Um, they got all different body types, but it's gonna be interesting to see how what they decide to do from a roster building standpoint, that 53 man roster, and see who they actually decide to keep on the roster. Some of these guys definitely gonna be on the practice squad, but um, going down this list, guys, we're gonna check it out to see um, what these guys gonna be able to do. And the Titans had a good offensive line. Yeah, they you're right. They did have an offensive line. And if you look at some of those offensive linemen that they had, they wasn't like world beaters. They just knew how to play and do what Arthur Smith would actually gonna do and actually run his scheme. We had one of the offensive line, I can't think of his name right now, but he was from the Falcons that came over there. And so you're right. Arthur Smith can definitely get this offense going. We just need the right players. The first season Arthur Smith came in, he inherited a team, right? Him and Terry Fontenot inherited a team. They had no money, so they had to play with the players and try to fit those players into what they like to do. This year is totally different. We only brought back about 30 players from last year's team, so this is their team. They built this team. They got the kind of players they want in, the kind of guys they want to do that could run the schemes they want to when they want to run. They drafted the kind of guys they want to draft, so that's why I think this year is going to be better. Um, and I think these guys fit. If we just talk about the quarterback position, I think the type of quarterbacks we got now fit Arthur Smith, what he likes to do more than Matty Ice, right? Um, I don't think nobody can argue with that. So what I think about Tangelo, yep, like I said, Tangelo, like this, like I said, guys, this this 53 man roster breakdown is going to be really interesting. Um, one of the biggest one of the biggest things that we really got to look at that defensive line, because we lost Goldman before camp started. We lost Vincent Taylor, was definitely it's about somebody that's going to play a big role for us on that defensive line. So now we have all these rookies, um, like a Tangelo, like a Timmy Horn, um, like a journeyman, like a Jalen Dalton, or Dual Anderson, that got some reps today in the sub package with the ones. He got some reps today. Um, and Tangelo. So all these guys that that's going to have to play a role in defensive line. But again, like I said, it's going to come down to the numbers, how many guys they want to keep. So, yep. y- y- One one day's famous said, "What about running backs?" Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So, real quick, so we talking about positions. I'm gonna go ahead and just like I said, we're gonna talk about the roster breakdown. And before camp, I actually did a 53 man roster, and it's going to change a lot. Not a whole lot, but some of the positions Where, like for an example, I didn't have Felipe Franks making a roster because he had was transitioning to a tight end. But I think you guys can agree with me that 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 now the way he flashed in camp as a tight end, and then his ability to be that third string quarterback, I think Felipe Franks is going to be added to the roster. So I think he's going to be that third quarterback. I think the Falcons going to end up keeping three quarterbacks, which means we go to the next position, and what you just brought up, the running back position. Um, I don't know who they're gonna not keep. I can't see them keeping six running backs. Um, I mean, we brought in Damian Williams, who's a veteran. He has a skill set we can definitely use. He's an older back, but I don't think Damian Williams going anywhere. Of course, Cordell Patterson. I think he could. I think Cordell Patterson is going to hurt. Um, the receiver, how they're going to end up keeping receivers because of what Cordell Patterson is able to do. So initially, I had them keeping six receivers, but I think they can actually go down to keeping five because Cordell Patterson had the capability of playing receiver. Of course, you know he was drafted to be that receiver. So you said you think Ritter should wait. I agree. I know everybody keep talking about Ritter and want him to start. But in my opinion, I think Desmond Ritter should just sit this year. He's been playing good football all off season. Um, and they came in with the so-called competition, but it's really have not been a competition between him and Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota's been probably penciled in as their day one starter from the beginning. Desmond Ritter would have had to do something, extraordinary to actually see put him out that seat. But Desmond Ritter has a great future. I think he has the poise, but I mean, I don't know what's wrong with a guy sitting for a year. I mean, like a Aaron Rodgers did. Aaron Rodgers sat for like 3 years before he got in. I don't see nothing wrong with that. He was picked third round, so he does not have to start this year. Um, and I think if we want to be competitive, I think Marcus Mariota definitely gives us the best opportunity to actually be competitive. But Marcus Mariota got to stay healthy. So you said Davidson. Yep, Davidson out again. Honestly, Marlon Davidson is really hurting himself. I know he can't help not staying healthy, but we don't know how good Marlon Davidson is because he haven't been on the field long enough. I mean, he had COVID, he had leg issues, and now he's just had his knee scoped. I still think he's going to make the roster because um, just that talent, that potential that he has. Um, he has to be on the team, I guess, but we don't know how good he is, and right now, and of course we need healthy bodies, but he's supposed to be back by the beginning of the season, so we just have to see. So, you said, yeah, Felipe was going to make the roster. Well, you're right. They did design Felipe for 3 years, so they like his athletic ability. I mean, and he could be our Taysom Hill. I know, Taysom Hill got all that hype because he actually beat us, but but he could be our Taysom Hill, and actually, I think Felipe Franks can actually throw the rock a little bit better than Taysom Hill did. He's a bigger body, so if they want to, pull up some trick plays and put Felipe in the backfield to be tight end slash quarterback, um, and run some trick plays with him, we can definitely see that, right? Because he has the capability of throwing the ball down the field. He's athletic enough to run it. And now they put him at tight end. He's shown that he has the hands to actually catch the ball as well. So I love that. First they said was the Falcons and Jets fighting. It was not really fighting. They was shoving. I don't think nobody threw any blows or anything like that. But yeah, they got into it. Like I said, the line of scrimmage. Um, that's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do at practice. They're gonna, um, especially if you feel like you got beat, right? And somebody talking because really, I don't think the fighting comes from just getting beat. I think it comes when people start talking and you know calling you out your name. You like you don't want to get punked, so you start to feel some type of way about you just got beat, and then they talking junk at the same time. So, but yeah, it was like scuffles today, and then the two coaches pulled everybody to the side, and then they got into the practice. So that's what we saw. You said we need to relax on Ritter. I agree. I mean, the one thing about preseason, which I really like when people take preseason games and try to, you know, say how it's going to be in the season. You got to remember they don't game plan in the preseason, and then Ritter was not going up against the ones. So that's why, like I said, I like what Ritter did. He was not going to go, and he did make mistakes. I mean, he technically threw two interceptions in that game, right? One was dropped, and then the other one was called back from roughing the quarterback. So he had some mistakes, but he did play well. So, but I just still think he need to sit for a while. Right, you said Davidson. They might get rid of. I agree. I mean, they got rid of Kaminsky. They didn't draft Kaminsky. They didn't draft Davidson either. So, like I said, if Marlon Davidson can't stay healthy, guys, he could be on the outside looking in on this roster. I don't see that. I mean, he still got another year. Um, because he was a second round pick. Like I said, I think he has the potential to be good, but you might you said to get rid of. Yeah, I like the energy too, man. I want to see somebody body slam somebody in practice, right? Get everybody fired up. You want to see Felipe take? Hey, if you go back and look at his mic'd up. He was mic'd up from the game on Friday night. They tried to get physical with Felipe. He kind of hold his own. So I like to see that physicality because he was a quarterback, but then he was out there. He was on special teams, and they was trying to get a little physical with Felipe. And I feel like he hold his own a little bit. But you're right. He got to take that hit, that real hit as a tight end to see if he be able to handle it. See, we don't. They didn't talk about the linebackers that much today, but they were back out there. We know guys like Troy Anderson, um, did not did not play last week. He didn't even travel with the team, but he's out there. He's back full go. That's somebody we definitely be excited to see. All that potential he has. Um, I just want to see what he'll be able to do. See if he can actually utilize that speed, and if he can read and react with his his gifts that he got. He's going to be good for us because I think he's able to cover tight ends, running backs, and all that stuff. So I'm definitely to see what Troy Anderson going to be able to do in the game. But we didn't get a lot of we didn't get a whole bunch from the defensive side. What plays was made. Only thing we heard was Joe Flacco dominated our defense. So like I said, we can take that with a grain of salt. Um, but yeah, I hope our defense get it right, man. We know that we got the right coach to get it right. But these guys got to start. They got to get out the mindset that we 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 the Falcons. We're not the Falcons anymore. That defense, that old Falcon defense is over. we we got to stop believing that we still that Falcons old defense, man. We got to I always say I want to be the the NFC North. That defense, the defense in NFC North, man, those guys come out and hit. Like when you playing in the game when you play the guys from the NFC North, because those guys come to play. I mean, sorry, Coach Tomlin, he would have Oklahoma drills with with his guys at practice. I mean, those guys get after it in the NFC North. If we could bring that kind of mentality to the NFC South, where all these finesse teams like Tampa with Tom Brady and the New Orleans Saints, even though I think their defense is kind of physical, the Saints, but I just want to bring that physicality. And the Panthers, they always had a physical defense. So we just gotta get back nasty. Like, yeah, we go back to that 98 defense, something like that, when we had Chuck Smith out there and John Abraham. Right, John Abraham. And believe it or not, you know what's sad? Our fifth all time leading sack guy is Vic Beasley. That's sad, man. And Vic Beasley was here what 5 seasons, and he's our fifth all time leading sack lead goer. I mean, we got to be able to rush the passer and take down the quarterback. So right. So like I was saying, guys, we talk about the running back position. So like I said, I'm gonna add Felipe Franks. I think we're gonna have to add Quadri Allison. But if we add Quadri Allison, who we taking off? Which running back? If you add Quadri Allison, because my initial list was Damian Williams, Avery Williams, Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algier. If we add Quadri Allison, who are we taking off the list? So I don't know. Like I said, I don't see them getting rid of Damian Williams. They brought him in. He's been playing great in camp. So it's not his productivity. That's not what's lacking. Um, Avery Williams. It's just hard for me to believe that when teams draft guys, they get rid of them that quick. I don't think Avery Williams did anything to to show that he's not capable of being NFL. He was our return guy all last year. He did great. So that's why I think he's going to make the squad. He's going to be our return guy this year. Quadri Allison, he ran he ran real good on Friday night. So I don't see him not making the squad. But then again, I don't see the Falcons keeping 5 running backs and a fullback if they keep Keith Smith, right? So that means they're going to keep 5 running backs and they're going to keep Keith Smith at their fullback. That's a lot of backs, right? So somebody's not gonna make it. I just don't know who it's gonna be. And then you go to the tight ends. We haven't heard anything about John Fitzpatrick, the tight end they drafted from Georgia, right? We haven't heard anything about him. But again, they just drafted him. They had to have see something in him. I don't see them cutting him. I mean, after a training camp period, and you just drafted and you cut him, I don't see that. I don't think he been a bust. I think he just ain't had his chance to get out there and show what he could do. So, but of course they're gonna have Kyle Pitts. Of course they're gonna have Anthony Fersker. And they need a blocking tight end. I think Parker Hess is going to make the team because they needed somebody to take Lee Smith place. You would hope John Fitzpatrick can do that, but like I said, we haven't heard a lot from John Fitzpatrick. Um, so I really don't. That's another spot that we're gonna have. I think they're going to keep 4 tight ends. So if they keep 4 tight ends, um, they bring in Felipe Franks at quarterback. Then we get to the O line, which I had them keeping 9 offensive linemen. And only guy that you could think about not making the is Justin Schaefer, but once again, that's another rookie they just drafted. So, um, like I said, guys, these going to be hard decisions for this coaching staff and the front office. Of who's they going to keep on the 53-man roster? Because a lot of these positions, um, a lot of these guys are worthy of making the team, but they just don't have enough spots for everybody. Yeah. I mean, just like Wallace said, like I said, Allison, right now, he might be the hardest runner we got. And I just can't see them saying, no, we're gonna let you go because we want to keep I, like who though? Like who's playing bad in the running back room right now? Like I said, Avery Williams, it's not he. I know they moved him to running back, but I don't think he's considered. We gonna utilize him in the run game. That's not why he's there. He's gonna be more utilized in the pass game, and I think his position gonna be solidified because of um like I said, his return ability. He's gonna make special teams. That's how he's gonna make the team. And then if you go to the offensive line spot, Justin Schaefer, Drew Jallman, Matt Hennessy, Jermaine Ifedi, Chris Lindstrom, Jake Matthews, Jalen Mayfield, Elijah Wilkinson, and Caleb McGarry. Those are my guys. Like, I mean, Kobe Gossick, Ryan Newsel, um, those guys, I don't have them on the list, but they're definitely deserving. Um, Newsel might not make it because we already got two centers, and they've been training him at center right now. Um, Gossett is a veteran. He's more veteran than Schaefer, but like I said, Schaefer is a draft pick, and if he's not been playing terrible, I don't see why they would cut him. And I know they keep talking about it's all about competition. The best guy's gonna play, but when you get down to the bottom of the roster, you're gonna keep your draft picks. That's just the way I feel about it. Yeah, I think they're gonna have to keep their draft picks. So I looked at 153 man roster, and I saw where they on their breakdown they didn't have John Fitzpatrick or Justin Schaefer. Like I said, I just don't see that happening. They're gonna keep their draft picks. They just picked them. They're not expected these guys that they picked in the fifth and sixth rounds to be ready to go right away. That's not why they drafted them. So if you're doing a 53 man roster breakdown and you cut their draft picks, I mean, what that says about why you drafted these guys if they couldn't even make the fringe of your roster, you know, make that 48, 49, guy on your 53 man roster. So the draft picks in this year class is going to make it. I just don't see unless they just straight up busted on the pick. We didn't know what we was doing. No, they're not going to never admit something like that. So Justin Schaefer is going to make the team. John Fitzpatrick is going to make the team. Um, like I said, and if that's the case, some of these older veteran guys are not. It's just the way it's going to break down. Then you get to the receivers. Of course, you got Drake London, Brian Edwards, Alumde Kids. Those guys are a lock. I think Cardell Hodge is a lock as well. He's been running with the ones pretty much all camp. Um, so then you got, I think they're going to keep five. So if that's the case, it's only one spot left. Um, and it's between Demir Berg, Frank Darby, Jared Barnhart, who's been playing great. Um, Stanley Berryhill, that guy is been playing great. But I think he's not considered to make the. I think he's going to be on the practice squad. Then you got Auden Tate and Geronimo Allison, who's veterans. Both of those guys be considered to make the roster. Then you got Cameron Batson. It's another guy with the speed. I think it's between him and Demir Berg. One of those guys would make because they the same type. But then you like I said, a guy like Frank Darby. Frank Darby is a great special teams player. If you go look, when he's the gunner, he goes down and he make plays. So he's a great special team players. You have to have great special team players on your team. Um, I mean, think about it. It's some guys that make their whole career being great special team players. So um, I think Frank Darby might make it because of special team. But then again, how many receivers they're going to keep? So um, he was a draft pick of this regime. Like I said, once again, these guys don't like to be wrong about their draft picks. Frank Darby hasn't did anything in the receiving game, but he played mostly every game last year, and he was on did on special teams. And you got to look at it. You're right. You're right. Sometimes, you know, they can put the 6 round picks on the practice squad. I agree with that 100%. But I mean, if you're looking at the guys that they'll put in their place, like Rick Smith, who is Rick? Rick Smith is he's probably at best he'll be a swing tackle maybe. So but they can use Jermaine Fetty for that swing tackle. So that's what I'm saying. Like I agree that they could take some of these guys and put them on the practice squad, but at the same time, if these guys, or if these guys was not going to make second team or play on special teams or have a big role, you might as well go ahead and keep your draft picks. So yeah, I agree. I that those my two guys too, Bird and Hodge. Um, if they keep five, that means Frank Darby won't make the team. Tate and Allison and Jerome Allison won't make the team. So I mean, that's just like I said. Those are decisions that these guys gonna have to make when they start coming down to the roster, right? Of course, when I did it, I had Seth Vernon making it as the punter. Of course, since then they brought in Bradley Pinion, and they already released Seth Vernon in our cornerback room. Um, I don't think any changes going to be there, but I think it will be interesting because they're going to keep. I don't know if they keep Tease Tabor and Mike Ford. So I think D. Alford has on his spot. Of course, you got AJ Terrell, Darren Hall, Casey Hayward, Isaiah Oliver. But I think Tease Tabor and Mike Ford, those two spots, one of those guys going to make it. And of course, D. Alford is going to make the team. So those are my cornerbacks, my safeties, Richard Grant, Jalen Hawkins, Dean Marlowe, Eric Harris. I don't think we have any surprises there. Our inside linebackers. The question is with Deion Jones, but of course he made the roster. Troy Anderson, Rashawn Evans, Nick Kukowski, and Michael Walker. So no changes there on my linebackers. Of course, my outside linebackers, you got Lorenzo Carter, Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, Okendeji, and then Quentin Bell. I had him making. I think you can't go in with just four outside linebackers. I think they're going to keep five. I think Quentin Bell showed a lot in that Detroit Lion game that he has potential. Then what leaves us to our defensive line, like we said, we talked about Derek Tangelo, Timmy Horn. We talked about Jalen Dalton or Dual Anderson. Right now, I got them keeping five defense linemen. Um, I think it's going to be between Jalen Dalton or Dual Anderson, and then Timmy Horn and Derek Tangelo for that fifth spot. Because right now I have Marlon Davidson, Traquan Graham, Grady Jarrett, Anthony Rush, and then like I said, one of those other guys going to make it. But that's more than 53 guys. So somebody else going to have to come off because, like I said, I added Franks, I added Quadri Allison, and I added Parker Hess. So I added three spots um, from my original roster breakdown to now where I'm gonna have to remove somebody from the other positions. So instead of having nine offensive linemen, are they going to keep eight? I don't think so. Um, Instead of having six cornerbacks, are they going to keep five? Those are the kind of decisions they're gonna have to make. Um, so it's gonna be tough for these guys. It's gonna be really interesting. These last two preseason games is gonna make and break some of these guys. So we just have to see. Yeah, I think Rich Smith's going to get cut. We had six receivers on the roster last year, six, but this year I think they're gonna keep five, and I think Cordero Patterson is the reason why they're gonna keep five. That's the reason why I think they're gonna keep five, and I think that'll justify them keeping Quadri Allison as well if they decide that Cordero Patterson can be a running back slash receiver. So that's the question, right? That's the question. It's gonna be like I said. I love the roster breakdown, and then you also have to think about, after all the cuts are made throughout the league, and you heard what Terry Fontenot said that he already have his scouts and his pros looking across every roster in the league, and if they find somebody that got cut that could potentially, unseat some of these guys, that's what they're gonna do. So even these guys on the fringes that we think might make the roster, and I'm looking in specifically in that defensive line spot where we have a lot of young guys that's over there in defensive line spot, and if it's some other guys that get cut from another team, um, I could see them bringing in one of those guys instead of you know these young undrafted guys. So we have to look at the rosters, look at the breakdown. That's why, like I said, we all know that like 48 to 53, all those guys are shaking in the right, because they don't know if they're gonna make the roster or not. Some of these guys I already know, right? Like Cardell Patterson know he gonna make the roster. He ain't got to worry about being called to the principal office, and talk to the principal. So he's gonna make it. Yep, I agree. Well, I think they're gonna I think they're gonna keep six receivers, and Cardell Patterson gonna be listed as running back, but he's gonna be considered that sixth guy. That's just my opinion. And the only reason because the numbers. Like I said, if you're just looking at the roster and you're trying to break it down, like, um, do I think a guy like Geronimo Allison can definitely help the team? Yes, but then I think his duplication with Geronimo Allison with Drake London and Brian Edwards, right? Um, Olamide Sakirs, Demir Bird, Cameron Batson. I think his duplication. Cordell Hodge, I can see him being that third down receiver along with Brian Edwards. Big body going up, catching those tough, passes in the middle of the field on third downs. So that's why I think they're going to make the roster. But I think it's going to be Cardell Patterson, running back slash. I'm gonna play some receiver as well. So we'll just have to see how that's going to go. But guys, um, pretty much that's all I have today. I think um hopefully we hear different tomorrow about our defense, that they went in and looked at the film. Like I said, they was going up against the Jets for the first time, different looks, different schemes on both sides of the ball. Um, and they make adjustments and come out. Dean Pease mentioned that they was able to make adjustments in that first game, because if you guys are like me, I know you guys did not like the way the Detroit Lions just marched the ball right down the field on us. Um, it just gave me the old Falcon vibes. It really did. So um, I didn't like that. But he said they made corrections. A lot of it was just miscommunications, right? And it's the whole cliche thing: just do your job. Um, he mentioned a play where it looked like Ebiketie crashed the inside, but according to Dean Pease, that what he was supposed to do, and the safety was supposed to come up and and do the contain, and Dean Marlowe got sucked inside because he was ball watching, right? So it looked like Ebiketie messed up because he went inside, he crashed the play, but the safety was supposed to contain and he didn't, and that's how um the running back got outside and scored a touchdown. But on film, it didn't look that way. It seemed like Ebiketie just crashed down, and we all assumed that he was supposed to stay out and contain. So so that's a good point. Like Wallace, you mentioned that the fifth and sixth receiver going to play um special teams. That's why, um, like I said, Frank Darby is a great special team player, and Cardell Carr's been playing special teams his whole career. So um, I can see him playing special teams. But Frank Darby is a great special team player. He is. And you got to remember, we had another guy here play special teams for a long time, and that's how he made it. Russell Gage. Remember Russell Gage played for us, and he made the roster playing special teams. And then he finally was able to, crack the receiver room after a couple of years. So don't be surprised if Frank Darby make the squad because of what he can do in special teams. People forget special teams is important, and sometimes people look at offense and defense, but special teams is just as important. And you have to have some special teams guys that's what they do. That's what they specialize in is special teams. So you have to look at it that way. Yeah, you say you wasn't good. You can't put much on the first drive. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not. I wasn't like I said, first preseason game, the guys first time playing, making the calls and stuff like that. But I still didn't like it. I still I still had the old Falcon vibes, man. Um, it was just the first drive. I mean, it could be the best defense in the first team because you got to remember most of the time, even though it was a preseason game, I'm pretty sure the Lions had their first drive scripted pretty much, right? So they knew how they was coming out. And they knew that the Falcons in that scheme, and they probably had their first couple of plays scripted anyway. So they knew what they was doing. Falcons had to read and react to most of every play, and that's how it is to start most games anyway, right? Um, most offense look good because they practice those plays all week. This is what we're gonna do in our first series. Probably the first 15 plays that the team practice all week, right? And then they get out there and they run those plays. They look great. Now it comes down to game planning, and you got to figure out what the defense doing, and then you can see, you know, that's when you see coaching, right? And you see the plays make executing because it's not something you practice um, all week. So I agree that first drive um, was just that, and it was week one of the preseason, so you don't take a whole lot out of it. But I still didn't like it. It just didn't look good to me. I didn't like the way it felt with our defense. They was able to run. They was able to throw, and it's march right down the field. So yeah, and then after that, you're right. They adjusted. They made the adjustments. Like I said, I believe we got the right coach to fix everything we need to do. The players just need to start to make the plays they need to make. So um, that's the way I feel about it. So we just have to see. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, when I saw that, I like, come on, man. God. But then you know what? When the offense went out there and went those 9 plays and we tied the game, I like, okay, okay. And then it was completely different from what we had seen, for the last what 13 years, right? Our quarterbacks was running that ball all over the field. Then like Marcus Mariota was putting his body in harm like on the first preseason game. But I did like what I seen um, from a standpoint, especially when the Lions was just trying to come up field. The Lions was not trying to play. They was just trying to come up field, and Mariota made them look silly in that first drive. So, um, and we overcame 2 penalties in that drive. That was even more encouraging. So, I mean, I like and I like the fact that we won. That's another thing because usually the Falcons don't win preseason games. So that was another thing I like, and because usually we get like our after our first stream go out, our depth was so bad that we get blown out in the preseason game. And this year, you can actually see the depth on the team where when our starters went out, our depth was good. Those guys, like you said, they're holding to 2 field goals. So I mean, that says a lot about the difference this team was this year than last year. 'Cause last year we had no depth. I mean, once Isaiah Oliver went down, you could see the difference in the defense because he Dean Pease had put that defense and use Isaiah Oliver the way he was utilizing it helped. But then you had to use rookies Darren Hall, Richard Grant, Avery Williams in that slot position, which that position in Dean Pease defense it plays a big role if you guys didn't know that. So so I mean so that I mean, the depth that this year is just going to show, um, just in that position alone. Because if a guy like D. Alford can hit, and we already know what Isaiah Oliver can do, but a guy like D. Alford can hit, and then Mike, like I said, Mike Ford was playing that role as well. All we need is our young safeties to play their roles. We know our 2 cornerbacks going to do their thing. on the outside. So, hey, I think this defense only question mark right now is really um, the D line because we don't have so many injuries there, and I mean just coming into camp, what we thought we had, from a veteran standpoint at D line, and now it's more to our young guys gonna have to step up and make plays, and I don't know if that's what we want. Um, because that's not what we expected. So that's the only to me question mark, that defensive line position. We know Grady's gonna do his thing. I think Taquan Graham is definitely gonna have that jump from year one to year two. Like like they always say. I think Anthony Rush gonna be solid, but behind those three guys, like I said, we don't know about Marlon Davidson injury status. All the other guys are question marks. Like I said, we haven't seen what they're capable of in a real regular season game. So to me, the defensive line is definitely, I can see them switching, changing that up once the season start. We just have to see. So yep, yeah, you're right about stop, and that's why I say defensive line by stopping the run, because if um just like you mentioned, I mean, we gave up 2,200 rushing yards last year. So 2,200 rushing yards. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that Carolina game, but it to me it looked like a college game because Carolina just ran the ball like the whole game, and we couldn't stop them. And like we knew they was going to run it, and we couldn't. It almost looked like that Patriots Bills game where the Patriots passed the ball three times. They ran the game the whole night. That's what it looked like against us against in that when we played Carolina. Now we got our revenge on them later on in the season, but that first game at home, um, they ran the ball down our throat. It was bad. I was like, wow, man, we can't stop the run. I mean, they was getting like 4 yards on first down, so it was. I mean, it was every down and distance was great. Second down, it's like second and four. Like it was bad. So hopefully we can stop the run. You're right. If we can stop the run, I think we're gonna be in better shape. And we got to win our home games too. Technically, we didn't win a home game last year. Of course, they counted the game. They counted the game from we played overseas, was one of our home games, but we did not win in the stadium. Well, wish we did. We won against the Lions. So take that back. So we did win one game last year, win against the Lions. Yes, you're right. Our outside linebacker. So I think Lorenzo Carter is a great run defender. Okendeji as well. Um, Big thing about Okendeji last year, if you watch, sometimes, like I said, the biggest thing that we heard of last year was containment. Right? We started out, see, we played a lot of play. I mean, we played some mobile quarterback, especially Jalen Hurts, pretty much destroyed us with his mobility. Um, the quarterback from Washington, man, that he destroyed us with his mobility. Um, couple quarterbacks we played that can move out the pocket. They killed us because we wasn't able. We was there with some sacks, but when they got out the backside, nobody was home, and they was able to. So you're right. Our outside linebackers definitely got to make plays. Um, and we have some running quarterbacks this year. Got Lamar Jackson. That's gonna be interesting to watch him. Being able to stop him in that running game that they had. Um, we play the Steelers. It's going to be probably Mitch Trubisky. He's athletic. I'm not too much worried about him because he can't. I mean, we got enough tape on him to see what his skill set is. Maybe it might be Pickett. We don't know, so we have to see. But the run game for us, the run defense, right? It's going to be important. Just as important on the offense as well. We got to be able to run the ball. So we can run the ball with our offense, with our running backs, which I hope Tyler Algier get more touches this week in the preseason game because I want to see um, what he's all about. He got a couple touches in the game last week, and I was impressed with him. But I want to see him um, do some of the things he did when he was in college, because him and Quadri Alice could be our Bell Kyle at running back. And then, like I said, we can use Cardell Patterson and that hybrid role and utilize him in space where he's really dangerous. So that's what I think. So guys, I've been talking for about an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and close um with this. Like I said, the biggest thing for me today, they went out, they actually kept the competitiveness up. That's what we want to see. We can see that with with the so-called fights they had. Um, if it's true, if it's true that Joe Flacco dominate us, I hope we get our kid back tomorrow, right? Like I said, that just one practice. Like I said, you can take it with a grain of salt. But I heard it from the Jets reporters, and then our reporters were saying the same thing, that the Falcons defense didn't play well today. So, um, but like I said, no tackling, can't hit the quarterback. Um, I mean, you don't know really how good they played. You don't know if we sacked the quarterback and he still throw the ball, to a receiver down the field, and play with could have been blown dead. So, um, like I said, we don't know about that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just we getting down to where these guys got to start making tough decisions with these rosters. So we know that some of these guys, especially towards the end of the roster, is definitely playing for playing for their future as as being on the 53-man roster. Not to say that they can't, make other teams, but they trying to make our practice squad as well. So it's gonna be tough. And it's gonna be to me, I think it's gonna be some surprising cuts, because if you're looking at the numbers, um, some guys are not gonna make it just because you can only have 53 guys. I mean, if you look down the list and the guy that you would expect to make it, at a certain position, he might not, because you know the numbers at the other position. So that's what we gotta look at. In particular, that running back position, that wide receiver positions, the two that I'm really thinking about. And then, of course, the offensive line. Of course, they have a number in their head for offensive linemen. I think it's going to be 9. Um, and if that's the case, like I said, um, somebody on the offensive line that we probably thought that probably was going to make the squad is not, right? It could be our rookies, like a lot of people thinking. We have to see. I just don't see them cutting our rookies. So, guys, that's all I have. Um, like I said, if you have not already, go ahead, please like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys again. Peace.